Maybe that'll teach you to know your place around here. Patricia said those words while pouring a bucket of dirty mop water over a coworker's head in front of 11 witnesses, the same words, more or less, she'd used to break 4 other employees out of that company in 6 years. She had no idea the woman standing there, dripping, silent, taking notes no one could see, was about to end her career in a single Monday morning meeting. But that Monday was still 6 weeks away. Right now, Patricia was just getting started. Before we continue, if you want more story like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn your notifications on, so that you won't miss the next story, and feel free to drop a comment and like. 6 weeks earlier, Patricia had been the best salesperson at Sterling & Co. Logistics for 6 years running, and she made absolutely certain that everyone in that building knew both halves of that sentence, that she was the best, and that it gave her the right to treat everyone beneath her like furniture. She mocked the interns' accents in meetings. She took credit for junior staff's work in front of clients and blamed them for her own mistakes behind closed doors. She had reduced at least 4 employees to tears in the stairwell over the years, always careful to do it where there were no cameras, and she had learned, with the precision of a woman who understood systems better than she let on, exactly how to survive every attempt to hold her accountable. Whenever HR called her in, Patricia cried. Not performatively, or not only performatively, she had, in fact, a genuinely difficult home situation, a father recovering from a stroke, a brother who dropped out of university to help cover medical bills, a mother who called her crying about debt collectors twice a week. Patricia had learned to weaponize her real pain the way some people learn to weaponize a real skill, and it worked every time. Management would nod sympathetically, offer her support, and quietly close the file. Her numbers were too good, her excuses too sympathetic, and nobody in HR wanted to be the one who fired a woman holding her family together with both hands. So Patricia kept ruling the 3rd floor the only way she knew how, through fear, and nobody stopped her, because on paper, there was nothing to stop. Grace Adeyemi had grown up watching her father build Sterling & Co. from a 2-room office into one of the largest logistics firms in the region, and she had grown up, too, hearing him say the same thing at every dinner table: a company is not its balance sheet. It's whether the people inside it can breathe. So when the 3rd floor resignation numbers crossed her desk during her graduate rotation in the strategy office, for departures in 18 months, or with vague exit interviews, or mentioning culture without elaborating, Grace did not take the numbers to her father first. She took them to HR, quietly, and got the same non-answer Patricia had spent 6 years perfecting: nothing specific, just a difficult personality, we're managing it. Managing it was not something Grace believed after 4 resignations. So she went to her father with a request instead of a report. I want to walk the floor. Not as your daughter. As a new hire. I want to see what managing it actually looks like. Mr. Adeyemi did not love the idea. But he had built his company on the belief that the truth was worth finding, even when it was inconvenient, and his daughter had inherited that belief whole. He agreed on one condition: a single HR director would know her real identity, in case anything went wrong, and no one else, not her direct manager, not a single coworker. Grace started on the 3rd floor 2 weeks later as Grace Adeyemi, Junior Account Associate, a name close enough to true that she wouldn't stumble over it, ordinary enough that no one connected it to the name on the building's letterhead. It took less than a week to understand the resignation numbers. Patricia clocked new employees the way a predator clocks a slow animal in a herd, instantly, and with something like relief at having fresh material. She started small, mocking Grace's office-issued laptop bag as clearly a first job, correcting her in meetings in a tone designed to humiliate rather than help, taking a client call Grace had prepared for and freezing her out of the room entirely. Grace said nothing. She wrote everything down. It escalated the way these things always escalate when no one stops them early. Patricia began routing extra, unassigned work to Grace's desk and then complaining loudly to their shared manager that the new girl can't keep up. She mocked Grace's lunch, brought from home in a repurposed container, in front of the whole floor. She once accidentally forwarded an email to the entire department mocking Grace's handwriting on a client note. The breaking point, the one that would later become the centerpiece of an HR investigation neither Patricia nor anyone else on that floor saw coming, happened on a Thursday afternoon in the break room, in front of 11 witnesses. Grace had asked, madly, if Patricia could avoid taking credit for a proposal Grace had drafted solo. Patricia's response was to pick up a bucket of mop water sitting by the break room door, left there by cleaning staff on their afternoon rounds, and pour it over Grace's head, laughing, telling her, maybe that'll teach you to know your place around here. The room went silent. Grace stood there, soaked, and said only, thank you for your time, before walking, calmly, to the bathroom to dry off. She did not report it that day. She wanted one more piece first, the thing that had let Patricia survive 4 HR complaints already. She wanted proof of the manipulation itself, not just the cruelty. She got it 2 days later, when their shared manager gently raised some feedback from the team, with Patricia in a glass-walled office Grace happened to be walking past. She watched Patricia's face shift, in real time, from irritation to practiced devastation, the same tears, Grace would later learn from HR's own fire, that had ended every prior complaint against her. Through the glass, muffled but audible, Grace heard the same sentence Patricia had apparently used for 6 years, you don't understand what I'm going through at home right now. The manager folded within 90 seconds. Grace finally understood exactly how managing it worked, and exactly why nothing ever changed. Grace brought everything to her father the following week, written logs with dates and witnesses, the bucket incident corroborated by 11 employees willing to go on record once they learned someone had finally taken it seriously, and, critically, the security footage from the break room camera the cleaning company had installed for liability reasons, which nobody on the 3rd floor had realized was recording audio as well as video. Mr. Adeyemi called a mandatory all-staff meeting for the following Monday. He did not announce what it was about. Patricia walked in expecting a routine quarterly briefing, dressed sharply, entirely unbothered, right up until Mr. Adeyemi introduced the woman standing quietly at the back of the room. Some of you have gotten to know Grace over the past several weeks, he said. I'd like to properly introduce my daughter. The room did what rooms always do in that moment, a ripple of recalculation moving from face to face, Patricia's expression shifting fastest and hardest of anyone's. What followed was not a lecture. It was evidence, the break room footage, timestamped and undeniable, played in full for a silent room, the pattern of HR complaints stretching back years, each one closed the same way, testimony, read aloud, from 4 former employees who had resigned rather than continue reporting to someone the company refused to discipline. And then, in a detail Grace herself hadn't fully expected, Patricia's own mother stood up from a chair near the door, invited, at HR's request, once the investigation revealed a pattern Patricia's file suggested went beyond the office. Patricia's mother spoke haltingly, ashamed, but clear, the crying, the crisis, the manipulation weren't confined to Sterling & Co. Patricia had run the same performance at home for years, guilt, tears, blame, to avoid contributing to the very household expenses she'd used as her office alibi for 6 years running. She has never once helped carry what she says she's carrying, her mother said quietly. She only uses it. Patricia had no version of events left to perform. She was terminated before the meeting ended, effective immediately, escorted from the building by security while colleagues who had spent years afraid of her watched in a silence that had nothing sympathetic left in it. The final blow, delivered not by the company but by her own family, came a week later, her parents, finally done absorbing the consequences of a daughter who had never been made to face any, told her she needed to move out and support herself. No more excuses accepted at home either. Grace didn't return to the strategy office as a stranger who'd simply completed an assignment. She returned changed by what, managing it, had actually caused the people beneath her, for resignations, 6 years, one woman's real pain twisted into a weapon nobody had the will to disarm. Patricia's road afterward was not fast and not easy. The story doesn't end with her instant redemption, because real accountability rarely arrives that quickly. It took her the better part of a year, 2 jobs she couldn't keep for the same old reasons, and a lot of nights with no one left to perform for, before something in her actually shifted. She eventually took a position at a smaller firm, entry-level, no reputation preceding her, and for the first time in her adult life, she had no fear to lean on and no story to weaponize. She had to earn, slowly, the same basic respect she used to extract through intimidation. She learned, the hard way, that the easy way never teaches, that fear can run a room for years. But it never once, in any room, in any company, on any floor, earns anyone a single ounce of real respect. And if you want more story like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn your notifications on, so that you won't miss the next story, and feel free to drop a comment and like. See you in the next video.